Hello guys, welcome to the Coin Riches channel. The year is 1968. The world is a whirlwind of transition. In London, the swinging 60s are reaching a fever pitch, while in Ottawa, a young Pierre Trudeau is sparking a national phenomenon known as Trudeaumania. But amidst the global upheaval, the civil rights marches, and the dawn of the space age, something quiet and seemingly ordinary is happening in the pockets of millions of people across Canada. A small, copper-colored disc is changing. It is the humble 1-cent piece, a coin we often overlook, yet in this specific year, it became the protagonist of a metallurgical mystery that collectors are still chasing today. To understand the weight of the 1968 penny, you have to understand the era of copper. For decades, the penny was a staple of stability. It felt substantial. It had a specific resonance when dropped on a wooden counter. But by the late 60s, the price of raw copper was beginning to climb on the global market. The Royal Canadian Mint was faced with a dilemma that every government eventually confronts: the cost of making the money was becoming uncomfortably close to the value of the money itself. This economic pressure set the stage for a transition that would create one of the most sought-after variations in North American numismatics. Imagine you are holding a handful of change in 1968. To the naked eye, every penny looks identical. They all feature the iconic maple leaf design by G. E. Kruger Gray on the reverse, a design that had graced the Canadian cent since 1937. On the obverse, you see the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. But appearances are deceiving. In that single year, the Mint produced two entirely different versions of the coin. One was struck in the traditional 98% copper alloy. The other was a newcomer, a 98% steel coin with a thin copper plating. This transition wasn't just a change in recipe, it was a change in the very soul of the coin. The copper versions are soft, warm, and age with a rich, chocolatey patina. The steel versions are hard, industrial, and prone to a different kind of weathering. For the average citizen buying a newspaper or a cup of coffee, the difference was negligible. But for the keen-eyed observer, and certainly for the modern collector, this split created a needle in a haystack scenario. Because both types were minted in such massive quantities, the hunt for the perfect specimen, the one that defied the odds of circulation, became a lifelong obsession for many. What makes the 1968 penny so emotionally compelling to those of us who remember the era is what it represents. It represents the last stand of the heavy penny. It was the moment we moved away from intrinsic value toward a more symbolic form of currency. When you hold a 1968 copper cent, you are holding a piece of a world that was about to disappear. It is a tangible link to a time when things were built to last, when materials were honest, and when even the smallest denomination of currency commanded a certain level of respect. But why does this matter to you now? Why are we still talking about a coin that most people would ignore if they saw it on the sidewalk? It's because of the rarity born from commonality. In the world of high-stakes coin collecting, the most valuable items aren't always the ones that were rare to begin with. Often, the highest value comes from the survivors, the coins that were meant to be used, abused, and discarded, but somehow emerged from the gauntlet of time in flawless condition. The 1968 penny was a workhorse. It was passed from hand to hand, stored in jars, forgotten in car upholstery, and lost in the cracks of floorboards. Millions were melted down when copper prices spiked in later decades. This mass destruction of the common coin is exactly what fuels the fire of rarity. Finding a 1968 cent that looks as though it was struck 10 minutes ago is a statistical miracle. It requires a perfect storm of events: a coin struck with a fresh set of dies, immediately tucked away in a cool, dry place, and left undisturbed for over half a century. As we dive deeper into the technicalities, we have to look at the mint state designations. When professional graders look at these coins, they aren't just looking for scratches. They are looking for the red. In the world of copper coins, red is the holy grail. Copper naturally oxidizes, turning brown over time. A coin that has retained its original, fiery mint luster, red designation, is a unicorn. A 1968 penny that has stayed red for nearly 60 years tells a story of preservation that borders on the impossible. There is also the matter of the British connection. While these are Canadian coins, the heritage of the Royal Mint in London still loomed large over the production processes and the artistic standards of the time. The craftsmanship involved in the 1968 issue reflects a standard of excellence that was beginning to shift as global minting moved toward high-speed, high-volume automation. There is a crispness to the 1968 strike, particularly the copper variants, that reflects a final golden age of traditional minting. For the collector aged 35 to 65, this isn't just about money. It's about nostalgia. It's about the memory of a grandfather showing you his coin collection on a Sunday afternoon. It's about the tactile sensation of sorting through a box of old money and feeling like a treasure hunter. The 1968 penny is the perfect entry point into this world because it feels accessible, yet it hides secrets that can lead to incredible wealth. It teaches us to look closer at the world around us. It teaches us that value is often hidden in plain sight, disguised as the mundane. In the next section of our journey, we will explore the specific errors and varieties that elevate a simple penny into a museum-grade artifact. We will look at the microscopic details that separate a 5-cent coin from a fortune. We will investigate the rumors of specimen strikes and the legendary double dies that keep professional numismatists awake at night. The story of the 1968 Canadian cent is far from over. In fact, we are just beginning to scratch the surface of why one specific penny can be worth more than a luxury car or a down payment on a home. To truly grasp why a 1968 penny can transcend its face value, we must look at the microscopic battlefield of the coin's surface. In the world of high-end numismatics, the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth a fortune is measured in microns. For the 1968 Canadian cent, the quest for perfection centers on the specimen and proof-like strikes. These weren't your average pennies intended for a pocket, they were struck with specially polished dies and planchets, often handled with gloves and sealed in commemorative sets. However, even among these elite strikes, a hierarchy exists. Collectors are obsessed with eye appeal. When you hold a 1968 penny up to the light, you are looking for a deep, mirror-like field and frosted details on the maple leaf. This contrast is what sets a world-class coin apart. But the real drama lies in the errors. During the chaotic transition from copper to steel in 1968, the mint was operating at breakneck speeds. This led to rare occurrences like double dies, where the image appears ghosted or shifted, and off-center strikes, where the coin looks like a celestial eclipse of copper. To the untrained eye, these are mistakes. To the sophisticated investor, they are birthmarks of immense value. There is a psychological element to this pursuit that resonates deeply with those of us in our middle years and beyond. We have seen the world change. We have seen the transition from analog to digital, from physical mail to instant data. In a world that feels increasingly temporary and ethereal, a 1968 penny is a heavy, physical anchor to a specific moment in time. It is a piece of industrial art that you can hold in the palm of your hand. The 1968 cent is a survivor of a more tactile era. When we talk about the technical grading of these coins, we use a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-60 is a typical uncirculated coin. But once you move into the MS-66, MS-67, and the near-mythical MS-68 territory, you are entering the realm of the impossible. A 1968 penny at MS-67 or higher means that under 10x magnification, there are almost zero contact marks. No scratches from other coins hitting it in a bin, no fingerprints, no traces of moisture. It is a miracle of preservation. Think about the journey such a coin has taken. It survived the 1970s oil crisis, the 1980s tech boom, the turn of the millennium, and the digital revolution, all while remaining in a state of suspended animation. It stayed red, that vibrant, original copper glow, without ever turning to the dull brown of its peers. This preservation is what justifies a massive price tag. Investors aren't just buying copper, they are buying a moment of history that was frozen in time by pure chance or meticulous care. For those of us between 35 and 65, there is also the thrill of the cherry pick. This is the act of looking through thousands of common coins to find the one that everyone else missed. It's a hobby that rewards patience, knowledge, and a sharp eye. It's about outsmarting the system. When you find a 1968 penny with a rare die crack or a pristine surface in an old estate collection, it's a rush of adrenaline that matches any high-stakes investment. It validates the idea that if you look close enough, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The British influence on Canadian coinage during this period cannot be overstated. The 1968 cent was part of a lineage of Commonwealth currency that shared a standard of dignity. The portrait of the Queen on the obverse is a symbol of continuity. In 1968, she was a young monarch, and the coin captures that sense of a new age. This connection to the crown adds a layer of prestige that international collectors, particularly those in the UK and Australia, find irresistible. It makes the 1968 penny a global asset, not just a Canadian curiosity. As the years pass, the supply of high-grade 1968 pennies is only shrinking. Copper is a reactive metal, it wants to tarnish. Every year that a coin survives in its original, red, state, it becomes statistically more rare. We are witnessing the slow disappearance of the finest examples of the 1968 issue. This natural attrition creates a last man standing economy. If you own one of the finest known examples, you own a piece of a dwindling supply that can never be replenished. You cannot manufacture a 56-year-old coin, you can only find one. This brings us to the ultimate question: what is the limit? How much can a tiny piece of copper-plated history truly be worth? We often think of pennies as worthless, something we leave in the take a penny, leave a penny tray at the convenience store. But the 1968 penny proves that value is subjective and based on rarity, condition, and the emotional story told by the object. It challenges our perception of what wealth looks like. Wealth isn't always a gold bar or a stock portfolio. Sometimes, it is a small, shimmering disc that survived the 20th century unscathed. The 1968 penny is a testament to the fact that greatness often comes in small packages. It tells a story of economic shifts, metallurgical breakthroughs, and the enduring power of the British-Canadian heritage. It is a coin that demands your attention and rewards your curiosity. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist with a vault full of treasures or someone who just found an old jar of change in the attic, the 1968 cent represents the ultimate what if. It represents the possibility that you might be holding a fortune between your thumb and forefinger. The peak of this market is staggering. When all the factors align, the perfect strike, the flawless preservation, the vibrant, red luster, and the rare metallurgical composition of that specific transition year, the price reflects the extreme rarity of the find. For the most exceptional, museum-quality example of this coin known to exist, the value has climbed to heights that seem unbelievable for a 1-cent piece. In the current market of elite collectors and high-stakes auctions, the ultimate 1968 British-Canadian 1-cent coin value is $68,000.